Alright, Chapter 10, Railroad Safety Appliance Standards, Part 231, Introduction. Federal regulations establishing safety appliance standards were used in the 1911 Interstate Commission has created the Division of Safety Appliances. As soon as the Commerce Commission issued several orders, the Interstate Commerce Commission orders served the purpose of today's FRA regulation. In accordance with the statutory directives, the Interstate Commission orders identify the numbers, dimensions, location, and manner of application of all safety appliances. And after the formation of the FRA in 1961, 67, the Railroad Safety Appliance Standards at Title 49 CFR Part 231 were issued in 1968, using the Interstate Commerce Commission orders as a basis of rule text in 1947 and 1976. The FRA amended the Railroad Safety Appliance Suggestions to add new sections to two states, 231.29 and 231.30. More recently, in 2011, the FRA amended the Safety Appliance Regulation to add new provisions establishing special approval process for existing industries. And despite these changes, present-day regulations retain them similarities in substance form where the original Interstate Commerce Commission orders are issued and beginning in 1911. The following guidelines and interpretations have been developed to aid federal, state, and inspectors conducting inspection for compliance with the safety appliance standards in part of the 231, and this is an important agency interpretation policies to be adhered to be every inspector conducted with these inspections so uniformity with compliance activity is achieved. The procedure guidance provided within both this manual and general manual should be observed with the assessing need for the appropriate enforcement regarding any of the non-compliance with several appliance standards. Report the safety appliance inspections are made by the Motor Power Inspection Report in the FRA Form 618096. Violations are submitted to the Violation Safety Appliance Law Report, FRA Form 618029. And every vehicle, car, locomotive, tender, or similar vehicle has very specified and defined safety appliance requirements. Inspectors must meet the knowledgeable and common type of the vehicle's uniquely safety appliance arrangements prior to performing Part 231 inspection. Inspectors are needed to familiarize themselves with as many as the complexity requirements of various vehicles. They are characterized in cars, special construction, and car special construction is required to comply with the railroad safety appliance standards for the car type that it must closely resembles or the nearest approximate type of the car. And if these questions are a particular car type, the inspector should contact the regional specialist for the definition and classification. Consistent regional specialists will follow the guidance in the established headquarters. Alright, strict liability applies when the railroad uses or allows to be used the vehicle with defective safety appliances. If the railroad uses or allows it to be used but is discovered with a defective safety appliance and the vehicle is not being moved pursuant to statutory provisions contained in Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 20301 20303, previously Title 45 U.S. Standard Code Statute 3018. Appropriate enforcement action must be taken. The railroad is unaware of existing defective condition and cannot claim to become moving vehicles for repairs and subject to civil penalties. Inspectors are expected to use sound judgment along with the guidance outlined in the General Manual in Chapter 3 of this manual when deciding whether the issuing violation report are appropriate. In order to establish the violation, the FRA must prove the vehicle was in use and allowed to be used in a defective condition. The evidence of the equipment was in use and allowed to be used with a deficiency. Safety appliance is always necessary to support the violation. The FRA will be considering the vehicle and all allowed to be used in all railroad and should have completed with the required inspection vehicles that are deemed ready for the service. Even if the FRA inspects the vehicle prior to any of the movement, actual departure of defects are found at the times are substantial, subject to potential civil penalty. The FRA is not required to wait for a vehicle with a defective safety appliance to depart and engage in any actual haul in order to assess the violation. If the inspector relies on above interpretation, the violation report must establish the railroad has completely already necessary inspection capable of discovering the defective condition. Therefore, the evidence must be included with the violation report, which establishes the inspector's basis for finding. Be so specific as possible. Inspectors should include names if they are available. Information as helping use. However, remember to the use judgment, discretion, and exercising FRA enforcement authority in such a situation may not be an appropriate approach to include such information. For example, it would not be appropriate to include a person's name if doing so would reveal the identity of the compliant to a complaint-based investigation. In any main circumstances, that best approach to establish the actual use of movement of the vehicle. The statutory provision in Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 20303 governing the movement of the vehicles and defective and insecure safety appliances this only allows the railroad to move the defective vehicles from place to place where the defective first to discover the nearest location where the necessary repairs can be made. The movement can either be the railroad first to discover for the option connection of the railroad on the line connecting the railroad if and the move is no farther than the location on the line where the defective was first discovered. Thus, in order to promptly move the cars for the repairs, railroad must know the defective exists. There are no tagging requirements for safety appliance defects. Interchanging railroad can refuse to accept the defective car until receiving an app. Railroad accepts the moving it into otherwise excursion. Exercising or control over it is not liable for civil penalties nor is required to make any of the repairs. It should be noted, however, the delivering railroad remains liable for each of the defective cards and tenders in the interchange. Statutory provisions contained in Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 20303 affirmative defenses established by the railroad. The 7 elements which must be established are: the car properly equipped with safety appliances. In the beginning, the car became defective while being used in the railroad on its line. The railroad discovered the defective prior to the movement. The movement of this place where the defective was first discovered. The repairs could not be made on the location where the defective was first discovered. The movement was necessary to make the necessary repairs. The car moved the nearest available point where the necessary repairs could be made. The federal regulations on freight power brakes contain guidelines concerning the FRA inspector of railroad to determine what it constitutes the nearest location. Nearest repairs can be performed. See Title 49 U.S. Code of Regulation 232.15F for the guidelines applicable to determining such locations of all safety appliance defects. The guideline must be applied only on a case-to-case basis by determining the railroad acted in good faith in moving the defective equipment. The following locations should be considered when applying with the guidelines discussed in detail below. Locations where the mobile repair track is used on a regular basis. Location with the mobile repair track that originates and permanently stationed. Location of the operative repair track of the repair shop. Location where the railroad performs mechanical parts other than safety appliance repairs. In determining where the location needed for the capable making particular repair, following factors must be considered: the accessibility of the location responsible for the making of the repairs, the present hazardous conditions, the effect, the ability to safely make repairs they need at the location, the nature of the repair necessary to bring with the car to the compliance, the need for the railroads to have the place and effective means to ensure the safe and timely repair of the equipment, the irrelevant weather and the conditions at the location that affects accessibility and create hazardous conditions. A location needed not to have the ability to effectuate every type of the safety appliance repair in order to consider the location where some safety appliances repairs can be made. The location need not to be staffed continuously in order to be considered a location where safety appliance repairs can be performed. The congestion of work at a location shall not be considered. In addition, with the considering factors noted above, the following factors must be considered in determining whether the nearest location where necessary repairs can be made are the distance to the location. Although the key factors should not be the determining factor, although they must be considered in conjunction with all the factors previously noted, as well as the following of the consideration: safety, employee responsibility for getting the equipment to from in a particular location, a safety hazard involved with the moving of the equipment in the direction of the travel necessary to getting a particular location. Inspection guidelines, general interpretation, and guidance. Although the regulations are precise in the dimension, location, manner of the application of various car types and interpretation of the guidelines have been developed over the years for the FRA that have clearly ambiguous, correct misinterpretation of the regulation. The following written guidance provided to help the inspector conduct inspection of the compliance with the safety appliance standards. This matrix available Appendix C that identifies the safety appliance arrangements of the various cars. Motor Power and Equipment 98.7 errors of the U.S. Department of Transportation Safety Appliance Standards booklet published in 1977. Many of the inspectors in September 1977 reprinted the Safety Appliance Power Break and Requirements booklet, which was orange. The orange booklet, when conducting the safety appliance inspection, please note that there are two textual errors in the book. The first note is the statute 231.1 on page 9 and line 12 through 23. The correct text should read as follows, with the portion associated with the error underlined. After December 31st, 1976, the cars were built on and before 1966 under the construction prior to the date placed in the service before October 1st, 1966, must be equipped as near as possible with the same complement safety appliance depending upon the type of the specified in statute 231.27 of the box and other house cars without the hatches, or 231.28 for the boxes, other cars with the roof hatches, cars built built on April 1st, 1966, or under construction prior to thereto, in place in service on October 1st, 66, must be equipped depending on the type and specified with Statute 231-27 for the box and other house cars without roof hatches, or 231-28 for the box and other cars with roof hatches. Second textual error involved the omission of the two lines after the line 12 and page 64 of the Statute 231-30A2. The two lines omitted should read as follows. 1977, 70% of the by October 1st, 1978. Also locomotives by October 1st, 1979. Motor power and equipment interpretation, sill step application, Title 49, CFR Part 231 1D2 and 231-27C2. It is brought to the Office of Safety's attention that some sill step at the application center of the type of the car is considered with the field force complying with the condition under the railroad safety appliance standards. When the fact of the sill steps and compliance to minimize the confusion in the air, the following guidelines should be used for considering sill step applications. Title 49 CFR Part 231 1D2 and 231-27C2 address both the sill step dimensions provided with the minimum standards for the cross-sectional area, material length, and clear depth. The minimum standard for the clear depth is 8 inches. Meet in the note carefully with the word clear depth. Clear depth should be understood by the meaning of the vertical space of the width and above the sill step material or strap. That vertical spaces shall be clear and unobstructed for 8 inches. Note that how different is the fundamental dimension requirement of the handhold, ladders, treads, and the safety appliance standards of the stipulate the minimum clearance of 2 inches, not limiting orientation for the clear, is provided through the clearance of 2 inches required with the direction of 360 turns around the handheld, ladder, tread. Also, consideration safety appliances, whether or not in compliance can be used safely, must be considered along the clearance of the dimensions. Motor power and equipment, 9836. Judgment and enforcement of safety appliance and standards. In the past, FRA inspectors have been taken exemption into minimal deviation for the measurement specified with the safety appliance standards on the cars that have been in service with condition for a long period of time without any incident and casualty. Along the civil penalty, the citation are available with a strictly a technical legal point of view. For the common sense point of view, the cars have operated safely for years, so the minimum deviation did not materially reduce the safety. Inspectors tend to view the safety appliance standards as requiring issuing civil penalties, citations, adherence to the clearance and size of the place and dimension is not maintained. Either the clearance placement size of each of the safety appliances with either exact dimension required by the regulation is not. Or the world has changed and is no longer simple. The railroad operating environment has drastically changed. Crews are smaller, flatter, switching, and the rare number of the run through the trains is greater. All decreasing use of the safety appliance in addition with limited resources above the FRA railroads require the care to be taken and avoided previously with the resource pursuing minor infractions due to material reduced safety. Most of the safety appliance standards were developed nearly 100 years ago in a time when almost the cars were the standard design application regulations of these cars were simple, required little and if any judgment on the particular inspector. Today's most new cars are special construction. See Title 49 CFR 231-18. Safety appliance standards for such cars must be determined for the nearest approximate type of standard car ID. As a result of the safety appliance standard cannot be applied directly to the car without exercising good judgment. Today, inspectors must exercise judgment not just to take measures and file exemption of the minimal deviations. An exemption should be taken when the condition safety appliance material reduces safety. For example, the safety appliance will slightly losing and still firmly fastened to all safety, securing both light in place. The safety appliance will slightly reduce the clearance when it is still more adequate for intended for the use of it does not materially reduce safety. However, the one of the court found with a handhold moving as little as 1/2 inch was not firmly fastened. See Roe versus Port Terminal RR Assistance 627 SDWTD 87 Texas App 1981. Therefore, the exactly material reduced safety is not always clear. The judgment call often dependent on the unique set of conditions governing with the operation of the time. Some general guidelines for existing judgment of the enforcement of safety appliance standards as follows. Do not take exemptions of non-complying with the design features for the type of the car that has and long continuous safe service history. However, if an individual cars of the type or other classes have another compliant condition, an exemption may be taken. An exertion of signal force greater than that would be encountered for the normal use of operation of appliances required to move. Safety appliances exemption should be generally not taken. On the other hand, if a safety appliance moves easily as to the touch, exemption certainly should be taken. Although Safety appliances remain extremely important to the railroad safety, and the standard protective of the appliance must continue to be enforced. Enforcement of the standards need to be determined with the exercise good judgment of the scarce FRA for the railroad resource non-consumed with the pursuing minor infractions they do not materially reduce in safety. Although a thorough sample car inspection performed in accordance with procedures described in paragraph page 2 through 8 and 2 through 11 Motor Power and Equipment Compliance Manual, it is proper time and enforcement safety appliance standards strictly, and an excellent sample car inspection will be ensured that safety appliance before the type of the car is placed in service. Locomotive appliance guidelines. All safety appliance is for other than steam locomotives are not specifically addressed in Part 231 with the exemption of the 231-29 road locomotives with the corner stairways of the 230 and 30, 231 and 30 locomotives with switching service non-steam locomotives are required to have proper safety appliance. The FRA position that non-steam locomotives are addressed in safety appliance and standards of the cars of the special construction in Statute 231-18, which requires all non-steam locomotives have nearly a possible same compliant with the safety appliances containing categories governing steam switches. Steam locomotive. Motor Power Equipment 9868 locomotive used in switching service location and handholds. Questions have been raised regarding the placement of the horizontal handhold relative to the side of locomotive is referenced in Title 49 CFR 23130 G12, which switch stepping regulation developed in some handholds will installed measuring from the side of the locomotive some of the side of the end plate placement of the preponderance of the end hold and holes measured on the side of the end of the plate and the electric motive and the General Electric have been and presently imply that subject handholds in relation to the side of the end plate. The FRA will not take exemption in the application of horizontal handhold placement is measured for either side of the locomotive side of the end plate. Motor and Power and Equipment 9848, securement of the handrail of the locomotive car body of the North American cab structure. Some locomotives have a wide body North American configuration, upper end of the front of the vertical handrail not properly secured to the car body. Safety Appliance Regulations 23130E11 states that part of the each vertical handheld may be secured fastened to the locomotive 1/2 an inch or large bolts of the rivet. Some locomotives are upper end of the front of the vertical body bolted to the bracketed welded in section car body compromising the outside of the front of the reservoir, and although there appears adequate strength, the welded bracket is not permitted because the regulation specifically requires handheld securely fastened with a bolt and rivet. However, the FRA was permitted welding in some of the permit fixtures, the locomotive to which the safety appliance are mechanically fastened. The welding was made in the quality controlled condition of the fully enclosure penetration welded fixtures to the locomotive using a modern shop welding practice which provides 100% of full strength requirement of the joint. The condition is found and not to be found taken to defective condition should be brought to the railroad's attention for the corrective action. Motor Power and Equipment 9825, the Burrow Crane Requirements. Following interpretation of federal regulation regarding the operation of Burrow cranes should be used in consistent compliance with the enforcement guides. Chapter 203, Safety Appliance 2, Statute 20302, General Requirements A4, which requires the power of the driving wheel brakes the locomotives applied with the Burrow crane being used to pull on push car on tracks that are generally rail system. Railroad power brake drawbars, see at Title 49 CFR 232, states that power brakes are not required to be installed in locomotive cranes but built prior to the September 21st, 1945. By implication, power brakes are required for all locomotive cranes, and including the Burrow cranes built in September 21st, 1945. Chapter 203, Safety Appliances, Statute 20302, General Requirements of the A1A1, which requirements automatic couplers, A1B, secure sill steps, handbrakes, and A2 grab iron handholds, and all applying to the Bureau crane. 4. If Bureau crane is used for the road locomotive statute 23129 of the safety appliance rule standards for the railroad locomotive with the corner stairways applied. If the Bureau crane is locomotive in switch operation defined in Statute 23130B2 for the requirements of 23130 of the Safety Appliance Standards. 6. Other sections of the Safety Appliance Standards do not appear to be applied. 7. Despite the Bureau crane is excluded with the definition of locomotive under the Statute 229.5, the locomotive safety crane of the Bureau crane is nevertheless subject to the statutory requirements of the Locomotive Inspection Act, in particular requirements that it be in safe, preamble to final locomotive. The FRA explicitly recognized the applicability of the Act, stating the FRA will continue to implement the basic statutory safety requirements with respect to such work equipment using the special notice for repair when appropriate. Title 45 Federal Register 21093. Motor and power equipment, self-propelled vehicles considered to be locomotives excerpted. Recently, we have several inquiries about the equipment and requirements self-propelled vehicles that have revenues freight on the main line. The self-propelled vehicles are used in a variety of railway functions. The vehicles include those by the Track Mobile Inn, Shuttle, the Wagon, Mitchell Equipment Corporation, and Brandon Road Railer. When self-propelled vehicles is used on the freight over the railroad, it will be considered the locomotive most comply with the applicable regulations, even though the vehicles do not resemble the standard locomotive. The purpose of which they are being used is required in compliance with Title 49 CFR 223, 229, 231, and 232. Self-propelled vehicles are used in construction improvements, and use of many of these vehicles currently being used have already been modified by manufacturers closely the construction would permit to bring them into compliance with federal regulations. FRA acknowledges that this equipment has placed in well-rounded rail transportation system. In addition, the effort recognizes the unique characteristics of the vehicles. The FRA inspector should exercise the enforcement discretion, good judgment, analyzing any operation with the self-propelled vehicles in the train movements. The following specifications should be used in inspectors and enforcement guidelines. 3. Switching steps defined in Statute 231.30. 4. Horizontal handholds secured in back and front ends of the vehicle, secured belts, other applicable medical fasteners. 231.30. Vertical handholders painted, contrasting, secured by bolt, other applicable accessible hangers. 231.30. Must be equipped with automatic coupler to prevent necessity for someone giving between the vehicles and cars for purposes of coupling and uncoupling. 231.30. It is deemed to be safety related, which cannot be deemed as a specified requirement will have to be addressed through the waiver process. Alright, where were we? I believe we're at 231.15 steam locomotives used in roadway services. The vast majority of it, not all steam locomotives is used today. Are used with torque, exertion, road surface. The focus of safety appliance inspection of the steam locomotive should be directed at whether or not the appliance is structurally sound, securely fastened, located, and provides proper clearance and obstructed and is safe to use. 231.15 specification common to all steam locomotives. Steam locomotives of Vanderbilt type of the tenders required additional handrails, running boards, and stand holds for varying other tenders. 231.16 steam locomotives using the switching surface. Regulation pertaining to the steam locomotive switching surface requiring footboards. However, the inspector should not take the exemption. The steam locomotives have the footboards removed. Conversely, the main steam locomotives owners and operators have elected not to remove the footboards from the locomotive for the historical purposes. They may prohibit the railroad personnel from occupying that footboard while the locomotive is using. Either the case, the focus safety appliance inspection on the steam locomotive should be directed to whether or not the appliance is structurally sound, securely fastened locomotive provides proper clearance and the unobstructed safe in use. Locomotives using switching service regardless of the built and must be compliant with the Title 49 CFR 231.30. However, some of the relaxation of regulation is allowed to respect the switch stepping high with the width of the 6-axle locomotive switching service built on April 1st, 1977. It should be noted that the section specifications allows fastening the switch step. The switching step bracket by the weld provided with the weld is at least twice the strength of the bolted attachment. Since the issue is adversely subject to the open interpretation, the inspector should exercise discretion. Generally speaking, most welds applied during the manufacture are as stronger than the mechanical fastener made. Welding and manufacture is typically performed under the controlled circumstances in accordance with strict weld procedure specifications. Problems associated with welding occur when welding procedure specifications exist. In the case of most of the railroads locomotive shops, when inspection switching steps that they have not applied with welding carefully inspected for the weld for discontinuities such as incomplete fusion, hard cut, undercut, overlapping, porosity, inclusions, and if any of these defects exist in the weld, the integrity of the weld should be questioned. The outer edge of the bottom switch step should be illuminated on all locomotives built before or after March 31st, 1977. Locomotives built prior to March 31st, 1977 must be illuminated and have outer edge of the switch step painting on the contrasting color. In multiple locomotives, 2 or more are using the switching surface only for the front of the switches of the lead locomotive. The rear switching step of the trailing locomotive must be illuminated, painted in contrasting depending on its built and light. Vertical handholds must be painted with a contrasting color, and in addition, with a minimum of 2.5 inches, the clearance must be maintained through the entire length of the vertical handheld. 231.29. The railroad locomotive's corner stairways. The railroad locomotives with corner stairways may not be used in switching services after September 30th, 1979, except for the passenger switching service at the passenger stations. See 231.30A3. Freight passenger application guidance. Safety appliance for passengers. Motor and power equipment 98.14. The railroad safety appliance at Title 49 CFR Part 231 require the safety appliance of the brackets be secured within 1.5 inch bolts, but not outside when possible. Riveted over with not less than 1.5 inch of the rivets. Additional order to comply with the safety appliance regulation, they must deformation of the threads to prevent the fastener from becoming insecure, but this is accomplished one of the following methods: rivet the fastener, check with the thread portion of the bolts nearest the fastener with a chisel of 1/8 of an inch depth at 2 locations. Apply weld to the threaded portion of the thread so that they are formed, so that it formed them. A typical two-part mechanical fastener. Additional approved safety appliance securement of the fasteners, one of the two pieces of the huckle bolt. See Figure 1. Bolts and nuts on the unilock, disc lock, and the Nordic lock fasteners were properly applied. 231. An explicit requiring handhelds to be securely fastened. By definition, secure means from the danger of risk of free from the fear of doubt and not likely to fail with the giveaway. The Federal Railroad Administration, long standing with applying policy concerning the securement of all safety appliances requirement. Safety appliance support. The safety appliance must be mechanically fastened bracket supported that applied to the car structure other than the tank or car tank solely for the securement of the safety appliance to be merely fastened to the car structure. Many years of the railroading experience have shown that welds are not uniform and subject to failure despite improvements of the welding procedure. Cracks and breaks in welds are difficult to detect by inspection. Therefore, welding is not considered to be a met definition secure. The peculiarity of evident in the repair facility where qualifying workmanship is now also assured. Safety appliances for other steam locomotives are not addressed in Part 231 with the exemption of 231.29 railroad locomotives with the corner stairway and 231.30 with locomotives used with switching service. This does not mean the non-steam locomotives are required to have the proper safety appliance for the FRA position. Then, other than the steam locomotives, must have the proper safety compliant appliance for the covered cars of special construction. This requires the locomotive other than steam have the nearly possible same complemented with the safety appliances contained with the categories governing the steam locomotive. However, the FRA is not I said, however, the FRA has enforced deformation of thread bolts to be used to secure safety appliances of the locomotives. The appliances are usually secured by the self-locking nuts and or lock washer due to our knowledge that have been presented as safety problem. Exemptions should only be taken when the safety appliance or other steam locomotives are insured of presenting potential safety hazards where the railroad employs out of service form. The F16188 should be only used in safety appliance with the defective extent of the creates of the immediate unsafe condition. Adjustable handhold or ladder tread. The adjustable handhold ladder tread of 3/4 inch diameter at the length to be adjusted with the need with the application 1/4 inch roll and pin into the desired hole. The remaining portion of it to be cut off with leaving a smooth surface. 1988, the Federal Railroad Administration ruled with the adjustable safety appliance to meet the specified requirements if properly applied. However, the FRA expressed concern with the possibility of improper application, such as substitution of the rolling pin and improper securement. If any deficiencies found in the currency with the safety appliance and substitution roller pin and proper securement and should be reported with the regional motor power and equipment specialist with all the pertinent information, including photographs. The specialist is to provide promptly advise the motor power and equipment safety staff director. The dimension applicable to handheld uncoupling levers in the past special and some inspectors have taken an exemption to the handheld bottom operated with the uncoupling levers being more than 6 inches from the side of the car. Section 231.1K2 states the relevant part of the handholds uncoupling levers except as shown in Plate B. Similar design shall not be more than 6 inches from the side of the car. 2 uncoupling levers design shown in Plate B or if the similar design shall be conformed to following prescribed limits. 3 handles should not be more than 12, preferable 9 inches from the side of the car. Center lift of the arms should not be less than 7 inches long. The top operated uncoupling lever shown by Plate B and similar design to bottom operated uncoupling lever are fundamentally the same, but they're both operated with the same manner. Upward lift of the uncoupling lever handled by the disengagement with the cup or lock bolt blocks. The reference in Statute 231.1K21 to uncoupling levers other than Plate B design requirements, the uncoupling lever will be not less than 6 inches on the side of the car, refers primarily to the uncoupling levels which are operated with the downward motion of the uncoupling lever, either by hand or foot. The type of uncoupling lever can be operated with the side ladder while the car was in motion. Therefore, the FRA will not exemption if the bottom of the operated uncoupled lever is similar in design to shown with the Plate B, unless the uncoupling lever handle is more than 12 inches from the side of the car. Also, your information, the Association of American Railroad Rules 22, the bottom of the operated uncoupling levers show the maximum distance uncoupling lever handle to be 12 inches from the side of the car. Definition left and right, A and B end. The purpose of this bulletin to provide railroad safety inspector with the position of the Federal Railroad Administration has adopted, resulting work of the Motor Power and Equipment Technical Resolution Committee for determining reporting location non-compliant defective railroad or car components. The definition of left and right is defined in 231.19. Right or left refers to the side of the person when facing the end of the side of the car from the ground. This bulletin further identifies the A and B end of the car from which the definition will be applied, provides appliance guidance uniformly identified various components of the car. The railroad industry generally establishes the accepted practice of determining the location of applicable components for the railroad car equipped with 4 to 6 8 wheels or trucks and as follows. The B end of the car is determined by the location of the handbrake. The end of the car which the handbrake is located is the B end. The opposite end of the car, known as the A end, on the cars equipped with the handbrakes on both ends, A and B ends, shall be determined and stenciled. When facing the B end of the car is divided into 4 sections by the back right, the back left, A right, front right, A left. The order of the applicable components of the right side of the car should be R1, R2, R3. The order of applicable components of the left side of the car should be L1, L2, L3, and etc. See Figure 2. At the beginning of the B end of the car, the brake beams show numbered as consecutively seen as AN 1, 2, 3, and 4, 1, 3, 4, 3, and 4, BN 1, 2, and 3, and 4, L1 right, LR, BL, BR. The definitions of A and B of the left, right, and then the component cars, A and brake beam 1, axle 2, side brake beam 1 and 2, axle 1. The railroad generally established the acceptance of the practice to determine the action. Location of applicable components articulated at multiple levels as follows. The B end of the car is determined by the location of the handbrake. The end of the car where the handbrake is located with the central B end shall known as the B end of the car. The end of the opposite B end is the end of the A end. The unit the adjacent with the B end shall known as the C end unit, and each of the additional unit will be stenciled consecutively alphabetically from B toward A end. See Figure C for the 4 examples of multiple handbrakes. Report a unit location when facing the B end of the right side of the car, known as the right side. Left side, known as the left side. L side will set with the applicable components will be numbered consecutively from the B end to the A end. 1 through 9 applicable components above them. 9 will be identified in applicable reverse order from Z, Y, W, X, W until the last wheel set in the A unit is figured in Figure 4. So have your A end and it goes to Z. Facing the B end of the car, the articulated connection locations will be lettered beginning with the C and will continue consecutively with alphabetically with the B end toward the A end and see in Figure 5. The end of the truck on the B end will be the location. The end of the truck of the A will be location starting with the first truck inboard with the B end of the truck location will be entered beginning with the C will continue consecutively alphabetical with the B end toward the A and see Figure 5. The drawbar connection reported with the combination location of the 2 trucks close to the drawbar. The C Figure 6 of the end of the truck or the B end of the location of the B and the end of the truck A end will be location starting with the first truck inboard with the B end. The truck location will be entered in beginning with C will continue consecutively with alphabetical B and toward the A end. So you got your B end and it goes in alphabetically in consecutive order. The above guidance should be applied with the reporting location of applicable non-compliant components for the under the provision 215, 231, and 232. It can also be applied to passenger cars unless passenger cars railroad utilize some other general accepted method of identifying location of the passenger car components at end number 1 and number 2 end. Motor power and equipment 9818, aluminum safety appliances and past exemptions have been taken to various cars equipped with aluminum safety appliances, ladder treads, handholds, and sill steps. The FRA Office of Research and Development has confirmed that ladder treads, handholds, and the circular cross section 3/16 of an inch diameter, sill step 5/8 of an inch thickness, 2 inches wide, when constructed out of CO61T6 aluminum alloy, exceeds current Federal Railroad Administration requirements. There is no exemption should be taken to this material. Alright, handbrake and handbrake chains. It has been brought to the attention of the freight cars that the recent construction are being equipped with the handbrakes that are not compliant with the FRA regulation. The handbrakes or chains are prescribed in the present safety appliances standard regulation 213.27A26 as follows. All chains shall not be less than 9/16 of an inch in B to B coil chain. Association of American Railroads Manual Standard S40474-219 has been following requirements of the handbrake chain. Handbrake power chain shall be 9/16 of an inch BBB coil chain, meeting the minimum specification work load of 5,875 pounds. Proof tested at 11,750 pounds of sufficient length with the distance center line with the lower attaching rivet holes in the center line of the clevis for rivets of the 21, 9 and 16 of an inch. It has been determined that about both 3/8 of an inch aluminum chain and 1/2 inch steel oil light chain currently being used in new car manufacturers specifications of 9/16 of an inch DBB coil chain. Therefore, in accordance with Title 49 CFR 231.27, exemption should not be taken with the handbrake chains provided with the same degree of safety, greater degree of safety as in 9/16 of an inch BBB coil chain. 9/16 of an inch BB coil chain is no longer being used in handbrake manufacturing. Motor power and equipment 9826 handbrakes, articulated cars. Handbrakes performance requirements as specified in Title 49 CFR Part 231 include the following. Must be efficient design, must have operating harmony and power brake, must provide equal gradal tour to force breaker shoot of the brake cylinder with a 50 psi air pressure, one hand brake car per car. The Association of American Railroad specific